Welcome to Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance in the San Fernando Valley today, joined by Dante Acosta. He is a new member of the California State Assembly representing significant portions of the Santa Clarita Valley, San Fernando Valley, Little Simi Valley. Big district indeed. I got to say congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate
Great
it.
victory indeed. You're a new Republican member, and Republicans had a tough year in California, but you pulled it out. What went right?
Hard work.
Yeah.
Hard work, a great team, making sure that we had our message out there. And you just can't beat, like I said, good old-fashioned hard work, knocking on doors, meeting people. And I've been engaged and involved in the community forever, so
You're
that
Santa
helps.
Clarita council member.
Yeah, I was council member, mayor pro tem last year, and
Right.
certainly been involved in business, etc.
So be careful what you wish for, because you won, and now you're in Sacramento 4 days a week, if not 5. But I jest and do want to get a sense. How is it? It's a completely different beast than obviously a city council in a mid-sized city in California.
Sure, it is. In some ways, there's similarities.
Okay.
I mean, some of the things you do are looking at issues, breaking them down, looking at the commonalities of things that have happened before. Maybe bills that were attempted and didn't make it, but were a good idea. So you maybe take another whack at them. But mostly it's just getting the lay of the land and meeting as many people as possible.
Finding the bathroom, finding the coat closet, whatever it takes.
Exactly.
I do want to ask about one element that may seem a bit inside baseball, but I do find it interesting because I'm kind of a policy nerd. So in California, there's something called the Brown Act. And the Brown Act says that you cannot speak with a majority of your body when you're on a city council, school board, water board. Santa Clarita had how many members on this? 5. That means you couldn't talk to 2 other people about an issue.
Correct.
You were not allowed.
Correct.
In the legislature, it's the exact opposite. It's all about negotiating with not 2 but 20 or 50 other people. How's that play for you?
Well, you'd be surprised to learn that the legislature exempts themselves from lots of rules
who
and
would've
laws that
thunk?
they put into everybody else.
But still, it'd be tough because half would be 41. But
and you rarely would have the ability to go to 41 directly. But even, you mentioned the Brown Act, even a serial meeting is against the law. So I tell you, and then you tell so-and-so, and then Fred, and so that gets the word around. Yeah, it's done very differently up in Sacramento because it is about reaching a consensus and having relationships. It's something that I work very hard on, is building those relationships. So it is different. It does take some adjustment. And the first thing they said in training, all you folks from local government, the Brown Act, forget about it.
Forget about it, exactly.
And then we're like, oh,
But you talk about consensus, and you enter the legislature at a time where the Democrats have now taken supermajority status, both in the Assembly and the Senate. Now, my perception, and I may be Pollyanna, is that the Democrats and the Republicans in Sacramento get along pretty well. Is that your sense? Are you making friends with Democrats? Do you feel as if you can get Democrats to co-sponsor your bills or enter into some type of dialogue on something that's important to you?
The short answer is yes. We have some bills that we're working with Democrats on, and they've come to me and other members and saying, hey, I've got this bill, would you be interested in co-sponsoring it? And I think a little bit about the supermajority status is a little overblown. That basically allows them to raise taxes on their own without any Republicans signing on.
Sign a budget or pass a budget.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the things that they can do, now is just do anything that they want. But you've also got to look at the political ramifications of that, because then they or you own it at that point.
And not all Democrats think alike, not all Republicans think alike.
You've had several here that have different. I'm
wondering, though, if the environment in Washington, the increased polarization in Washington, is bleeding it all into Sacramento. There's some discussion about Eric Holder being brought on. Javier Becerra is a new Attorney General. Do you feel that, or are you still feeling like, look, we have policy differences, but we can go have a drink?
Well, I think both of those are correct. We're going to have policy differences, and some of them are substantive differences. I mean, we, not that long ago, but we had a situation where Eric Holder did come in and meet with the Democrats and didn't meet with the Republicans. And
I know that caused some concern.
Taxpayers are paying for that, so we felt that, and we're still hopeful that that can happen. So those are issues that, yes, they can be polarizing, but we're all working with our counterparts on the other side of the aisle that we have relationships with, that there's a card night or there's a pizza night or bowling or whatever, and you do those things with people, and then you build relationships, and it's a lot harder to say no to someone that you just went bowling with, let's say.
I believe that you may be the only Republican representing LA County in the legislature. Is that accurate? Or is
no, but close.
Close. Is there another one? Someone else who has a small piece?
Assemblymember Lackey has the northern
piece,
part, yeah, and then also Philip Chen.
Oh, right. He has a small part,
little piece down that way. Yeah,
so,
southeast.
do you feel like you're part of the whole LA caucus because it's so dominated by Democrats?
I do feel I am, because I am.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying.
Yes,
you feel welcome.
I would say so. We have had meetings. So we have a regular meeting once a week. We try to do it.
Okay.
It gets preempted at times.
I understand, of course.
But we have met and we have done some things that we feel are very important, particularly on transportation issues and public safety and jobs.
Sure.
Those are issues that we're working very closely on, and they very closely align with what my agenda is, if you will.
And let's talk about public safety, because it is one of your key agenda items. And we know that California is going through quite a revolution when it comes to criminal justice reform. I digress for a moment. I think about the fact that California has passed a series of progressive liberal measures as it relates to criminal justice reform, but yet they upheld the death penalty, when they were given the vote. So it is interesting. But do talk to us about public safety and where you see California heading on that front.
Sure. Well, I think you point out a couple of things that seems like the voters or the state is schizophrenic on.
A little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But I also believe that some of those measures were they were sold very differently than the practical. You can market something one way and it really doesn't work out in all fairness that way. So my focus and my emphasis is taking a look at what has been passed, Prop 47, 57, AB 109, those issues, and say, okay, we're doing this. We're letting a lot of people, and some of them not good people anymore, out of jail or prison, and putting them in jails or letting them out altogether. Right? So I've introduced little tweaks. For example, working on a bill right now that would give prosecutors the ability to go and seek search warrants for a misdemeanor, because they can't normally, for things like invasion of privacy, where there might be salacious material, photos being taken on the net of a former a girlfriend, boyfriend, spouse, those kinds of things. Well, yeah, exactly. And we're going to give them some tools so they can actually go and get the evidence.
I want to ask you, because in prior years, year or two ago, even before, right around the time Prop 47 passed, our prisons and jails were so overcrowded that the governor was just vetoing anything that added criminal penalties. Now that 47 has passed, there's some pressure taken away from the size of the prisons and the jails, but it does seem as if the governor's still a little nervous about signing matters that increase penalties. Or do you think there is some room there?
Well, this isn't so much, in my bill's particular case, it isn't so much penalty,
Fair.
It's just a tool.
But just generally speaking.
I think you're right. I think that's a correct assumption from based on what I see, and I think that there's been a movement in California in general to relax the penalties. And I think you see that in a lot of ways in society, particularly in California.
And it's also, these very red states are also looking at kind of prison reform, death penalty reform. I mean, red states have been reversing the death penalty, while we, the blue state, keep it. So it's hard to say where we go on this. But overall, you're looking to see that bill move, the one you just mentioned?
Yes. Absolutely, because it's an important tool that gives prosecutors the ability to go in and access data that they wouldn't normally be able to do in your phone or a computer or what have you. Okay, he is Dante Acosta. He is a new member of the California State Assembly representing portions of the San Fernando Valley, the Antelope Valley. I'm Brad Pomerance in the San Fernando Valley. It's Local Edition.